go. 1, 2, and 3. Hey, everybody. How's everybody doing? Hopefully, you guys are enjoying your Saturday night. Hopefully, everybody's doing good. Everybody's keeping safe. As always, I like to start off my videos by saying I want to thank and keep my thoughts and prayers for the essentials out there, the ones that are working in the hospitals, doctors, nurses, scientists, ones that they have to kind of face this thing head on. And hopefully you guys are being smart about it. Always wash your hands before every meal and wash your hands after every meal. If you're gonna cough on your elbow. Hand sanitizer is a key thing, man. It's a miracle worker. So always have a couple of those in handy, those little tiny bottles, and just be smart about it. And I want to thank everybody out there, the truck drivers, just anybody essential out there. Hopefully you guys are doing good and you guys are keeping safe. And for the ones that are quarantined right now, that are not working and are, at home and, trying to make the best out of it. Hopefully you guys are enjoying your, time with your loved ones right now. And hopefully you guys are keeping safe, keeping your mind right, your body healthy. Hopefully you guys are doing the right thing. The quicker we all do our part, the quicker this ends and we get back to normal lives, which is, I'm sure that majority of people want to do, and majority of people want to, just get back to normal lives as good as it is. So as long as we all do our part, I have, no doubt in my mind that everything will go back to normal here soon. So, this video, hopefully you guys have enjoyed these videos to distract your mind a little bit, enjoy the little distractions from the real world, and hopefully you guys keep enjoying them. So let's get this thing started. Today, we have the San Francisco 49ers are on the clock, and today is a special video because we have a guest today. He is a good friend of mine, Jorge Martinez. He's a cool dude, man. Have a lot of memories, and we're gonna keep making more. And I was actually very honored to go to his first football game, up in Santa Clara for the final battle of the Bay. He enjoyed it while I was sort of in misery, but here he is, Jorge Martinez. George, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing great. I'm glad that you're after bringing up that football game. That's good to say.
Oh man,
the Raiders falling behind pretty well.
Well, I don't remember. I try not to remember that game. That game was sort of over by the second quarter. I was just like, all right, let's see how this beer is over here. But that game was kind of done and over with. But I'm glad you can join today, my man. Thank you.
Thank you very much for having me, man.
All right, you ready to get this party started?
Absolutely.
All right, so I think before we talk about the season, we have to go back to last year, and your 49ers were one of the better stories of the NFL last year. I don't think anybody imagined after the Niners going 2-14, you guys would be 10 minutes away from winning the Super Bowl after that 2-14 season. So I mean, you have to be pretty happy about that.
You know what? I am very excited that we got to the Super Bowl this year. Last year's season wasn't the greatest with Jimmy going out.
Yeah.
Very early on in the season. But thankfully Jimmy was able to take that time off to pretty much get a better experience at Shanahan system. And it pretty much showed off. It showed this year. He wasn't comfortable in the beginning of the preseason, going roughly, I think, what was it, 3 interceptions in the first game against the Broncos?
Yeah, it was preseasons, I think what it is just, we haven't seen football in a while, and I think what it is, preseason, it's sort of I like to think of it as an overreaction. I think people just like to take everything like way out of proportion. It's like, guys, they haven't had competition in about 6 months, so let's cut these guys some slack. Like everything's gonna be okay. It's just preseason is I like to call it the overreaction season. It's just, it is what it is. But when he had that terrible game, it's like, oh boy, here come all the Was Jimmy Garoppolo the right guy for the 49ers? And the answer is yes. Jimmy Garoppolo is the right guy for the 49ers. No matter what people say and what people believe, it's, he's the right guy for the 49ers. And that's the end of it.
He is absolutely the right guy for the 49ers. I don't think there's an available quarterback at the moment that would fit the 49ers system better than Garoppolo does. People wanted Tom Brady to, make his wish come true and play for the 49ers, but I just don't think the 49ers would have done well with him.
Before we get into all that other free agency stuff, let's talk about that 2019 draft class that you guys had. And you guys had a pretty good class, man. I mean, it's always good, you get the second pick and you get to pick the defensive rookie of the year out of Nick Bosa. I mean, just instantly, right away, he started, and right away, what an impact. 47 tackles, 9 sacks, 1 forced fumble, 2 fumble recoveries, and 1 interception. I mean, that was sort of a no-brainer. That's a no-brainer to get a player like that at number 2. I mean, were you shocked at how well he was going to do? Because I was in the man, it'd be nice to have him, but it's just, you guys got him at number 2. I mean, did you like his play, or was there something he could do better?
I absolutely love his play. I didn't want to get my hopes up too high. I tried not to with any player, but Bosa excelled in every category, and I was not disappointed with the pick at all. It really was a no-brainer, and I appreciate the Cardinals for passing up on Bosa, although their pick ended up working well for them as well. So,
well, I mean, Arizona made the decision to go with quarterback. So, that left you with a no-brainer for San Francisco, and John Lynch couldn't. There was no way John Lynch was going to let a guy like that, pass his fingers. So it was just a no-brainer. We move on to the second round. You guys drafted Deebo Samuel. It took him a little while to get used to it, but halfway through the season, that's when he started to catch on. 57 receptions, 802 yards, and 3 touchdowns receiving. However, he did have 159 rushing yards with 3 touchdowns as well. So, Kyle Shanahan is one of those coaches where he uses anybody, and he'll, find his way to work his gadget players. And that's what Deebo Samuel was. I mean, he's the perfect player for Kyle Shanahan. The more you can do, the more you're going to be involved in Kyle Shanahan's offense. And I think that was a great pickup in the second round, the Deebo Samuel pick.
Deebo really excelled after we acquired
Emmanuel. Yeah.
Emmanuel Stein. Sorry, my Emmanuel is blank right now. He pretty much excelled once we acquired Emmanuel Sanders. I think the game where he started picking up more game was the first Arizona game.
Yeah.
I don't exactly remember the stats too well, but that's when he started getting more of the catches, and then from there it was just continuing on.
And that is a shame that Emmanuel Sanders did leave this free agency. He's now in New Orleans, so now it's kind of like, man, he has to, hopefully he can learn from year 1 to year 2 how he can probably excel on his own,
Mm-hmm.
and that's what you always want from your receivers, is how to excel on your own. But other than that, I thought Deebo Samuel did great. Your third round pick was sort of a shocker to kind of end round 3. It was Jalen Hurd, the wide receiver out of Baylor. Now he in his own right, he's talented. He's an athletic man. It's just, he didn't, no stats. It was just kind of a head scratcher, because there was teams that had him in the 5th round grade, 6th round grade. Some people even thought he was going to go undrafted, but you guys got him in the 3rd. And again, I think that's the thing about Kyle Shanahan, is he wants all these toys and gadgets where, if you can, the more you can do, the more, you're going to play in Kyle Shanahan's offense. And we hope that Jalen Hurd that, can do something. It's just, it was kind of an early pick, in my opinion, to draft him in the 3rd round. I was a little shocked that day when you guys took him in the 3rd.
No, I still think it was a penalty as well, but we'll find out this year. We saw some good flashes of him during the preseason, but that back injury happening early on and not being able to see him throughout the whole entire year puts a hold on what we should be thinking about right now, whether if it was too early or not.
Yeah, I mean, it's always unfair to like critique these guys after 1 year. It's very unfair, and injuries. It's always a shame, but hopefully we'll see what happens in year two with them. So we move on to the fourth round. You guys did what you guys had to do. You drafted a punter, Mitch Wishnowski.
Which
He
blew everyone's mind off.
well, he did really good for his rookie.
Boy,
Yeah, he did really good for.
Mitch,
Yeah, he was.
Mitch did.
He
Go ahead,
was.
sorry.
Oh no, he's. I mean, yeah, you're right. He totally aired the crap out of that ball, man. I mean, 52 punts. His longest punt was 65 yards. He averaged 45 yards a kick. 2 touchbacks and 23. Of his punts went inside the 20, and I mean that's because what a lot of people don't know, and they don't really understand special teams. When you have a punter that can coffin inside the 20 and the defense that you guys had, I mean, that was just dangerous territory. I mean, that was one of the reasons why 13-3 was possible, because your special teams complemented the defense, and that defense complemented the special teams, so your offense can be, easy going, and it doesn't have to have the pressure on the offense to try to come back and score. I mean, but when you have a punter like that can put it inside the 20, and the defense that you guys had, it was a no-brainer where you guys were the best defense in the league. I mean, it was like, it was a given fact why you guys were the best defense. Oh, did we lose George?
Yeah, sorry.
Oh.
Go ahead.
Oh, okay. No, I was done. I was just like, oh man, I think we lost him. I mean, but other than that, I mean, I thought that was a great pickup. I thought that punter was a nice pickup for the 49ers, and I think that as long as the defense can keep doing its thing, there's no doubt in my mind that the punters and your special teams and your defensive unit, they're going to be good for a really long time. So, moving on to the fifth round, you actually found a starter in the fifth round, Dre Greenlaw, the linebacker out of Arkansas. Now, he didn't get any notoriety. He wasn't really sought out after the combine, but you guys drafted him. You guys made him fit in that defensive scheme, and he was a solid run tackler. 92 tackles, 1 sack, 1 interception, and 2 pass deflections. But the crazy thing about him, it wasn't the sacks never didn't measure up, but for him to be a rookie and to have 10 and a half tackles for losses in his rookie year, I mean, that speaks volume in itself.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a good. I enjoyed it. And then your 6th rounder, Caden Smith. Well, he didn't make it out of training camp. He went to the Giants, so that was it. Your other 6th rounder, Justin Skoll. He's the backup to Joe Staley out of Vanderbilt, and then you guys drafted Tim Harris, who's ended up on the practice squad. Other than that, I mean, you guys had a pretty decent draft class. I mean, it really did help. 2-14 was sort of a blessing, to get the draft class you needed, because in the end it helped you guys get to where you wanted to go. I mean, would you agree on that?
Absolutely. Going back to the 6th round pick before we switch it off, Justin Skoll, I can't stress enough that we were able actually to find someone that could take over for Joe Staley, because remember, we only have him for maybe a year or two before he caused it.
Yeah,
and pretty much fired.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. Joe Staley has been like the staple on that offensive line for years now. Many years.
15 years?
Yeah, about 14, 15 years. And it's just that's the thing. Everybody's got an expiration date, and professional athletes, everybody's got an expiration date. It's just, it's going to be a shame, when he does walk away. But I mean, the way he looked in preseason, this Justin Skoll kid, I mean, he looks good. I mean, he looks good. We'll see how he does the jump from year 1 to year 2. So you guys had an amazing draft class. Well, then the season starts. And from the get-go, it was the 49ers were no joke. You guys were no joke. And not only did you end up with the best defense in the league, you ended up with the best rushing game in the league. You guys went 13-3, the number one seed. Your significant wins on the regular season were the Packers. You guys beat the Saints at New Orleans, and you guys went 5-1 in that division. Now, the NFC West is one of those tough divisions because it always seems like it just comes down to you guys, Seattle. There's a couple times that Arizona did it a couple times, and then Arizona did it a bit, but it always seems that between you and Seattle, you guys did your thing, and for you guys to split against Seattle, I mean that's incredible. I mean that was incredible.
Oh, it really the loss of Seattle was a tough one because it honestly could have gone our way as well, and we could have actually gone 14-2.
Well, yeah, if you guys would have swept the division, I mean 14-2, but I mean 13-3 is not that bad either. I mean, believe me, there's teams out there that want to be 13-3. But I mean, other than that, I mean, yeah, the losses did, happen. I mean, you guys did lose to the Ravens. I mean, but that was, that's not a bad loss. I mean, you guys did lose to the number one seed in the AFC, so that's not a bad loss. It's just two good teams playing against each other, and one had to come out on top. As I mentioned, the Seahawks, you guys split, and then one of those weird games that happens every year, the Falcons game, it happens, but you guys ended up 13-3. You guys won the division. After that, you guys won the division at Seattle with that Sunday Night Football thriller. I mean, we were just coming back from that area, from San Francisco. We just got home, and I was able to catch the last 10 minutes of the game, and you guys won the division by a yard. that was an incredible way to end the year with that NFC West showdown, and then that clinched you guys the number one seed, and you guys are moving on to the playoffs. So I mean, did you see it happening? 2-14 to 13-3. Did you, in your wildest dreams, think that was going to happen?
No, I did not. I like to be optimistic, but I'm also realistic. And I was more or less seeing that I was going 9-7. 9-7 or 10-6. On a good day. But to end the season 13-3. Okay, man. Okay.
Well, so you guys won the NFC West. You had a bye week, so you guys had to rest 1 week, and then here we go to the divisional rounds. And you guys made it seem going to the Super Bowl was like the easiest thing in the world because in the opening round, the divisional round, you guys played the Vikings, and the final score was 27-10. By the end of the second, it was pretty much the writing was on the wall. You guys were going to take this game, and that was it. You guys move on to the conference championship where you guys got to play the Packers again. And again, you guys dominate the Packers on the run game, and that was it. They just, you dominated the Packers twice at Santa Clara. So I don't know if it was because the Packers couldn't adjust to West Coast time. I don't know what it was. I mean, I just think it's one of those situations that I don't think no matter what Green Bay did, if Green Bay would have played San Francisco 10 out of 10 times, there was, that feeling that San Francisco was going to win 10 out of those 10 times. It's just Green Bay was good. And as I mentioned yesterday, they also finished 13-3, but it just felt like they underachieved and they didn't really look like the dominant 13-3, and it showed in that conference championship game. I mean, we watched that game together, and I was already telling you, like, hey, man, you're going to the Super Bowl, like, at the end of the second, and you're like, oh, no, there's another half. I'm like, George, trust me, you guys are going to the Super Bowl, man.
You can never knock someone down at the end, man.
No, I know. Oh, I know, but there was just that feeling of, like, man, these guys can't stop a run. Yeah, it's pretty much over. It's pretty much done with. But so you guys won the conference championship. And, 2 weeks later, you guys play in the Super Bowl, and you guys were about 10 minutes away. 10 minutes away from beating the Chiefs and winning the Super Bowl. Now, before we get to that aspect, I want to get your opinion on one play. and you know which play I'm talking about. The pass interference call on George Kittle at the end of the before we went into halftime. Be straight with me, man. Was it a pass interference on George? Because I believe that it was just George Kittle getting open, and that was it. There was no pass interference for me on that end.
You know, I kind of want to see the play again. I'm biased. I would want to say that that was pass interference, but if I remember the play correctly, the defender was turning his head around slightly to be able to see what the ball was, and at that point, they were supposed to play for the ball. And that's how they were pretty much playing the whole entire Super Bowl. But I don't want to get into that until you want to.
Yeah, because I saw that and I was just kind of like, no, you can't call that. And then they called it, and I was just like, man, well, I hope that's not, and I literally said this, I had people over and I'm like, I hope that doesn't change the outcome of the game. And sure enough, it's like, oh, well, this is where we have to get into it. So last 10 minutes, you guys are up. And it seemed like no matter what, Kansas City could be down 100 and they'll come back and score 101 in like 15 minutes because they're just that talented and they're that elite on offense. And then that was just kind of it. They came back and final score, Chiefs 31 and 49ers 20, and that was it. I mean, you guys were the runner-ups. I mean, you represented the NFC, and you guys were the Super Bowl runner-ups. I mean, in one word, I mean, how would you describe the whole season for you as a 49er fan? Like, what would be that one word, to describe this whole year?
I don't think I can describe the season in one word. I would say it was a disappointing season. Well, you know what? Bittersweet. I can actually bring it up. Bittersweet.
Yeah, I mean,
it's bitter that we didn't get to hold up the Lombardi trophy, but it was sweet enough that we actually got to the Super Bowl, considering what we did went through last year.
Yeah, because I mean, 2-14. I mean, to go from 2-14 to like 10 minutes away to winning the Super Bowl. I mean, that's like Hollywood writing a story or something. That's like there's no way, but it happens, and it's a shame really that it did happen. But I mean, I'm sure as you and a bunch of other 49er fans out there, I mean, it's got to be optimistic, right? I mean, you have to feel good heading into next year, knowing that you guys do have a shot, especially with everybody coming back and that defense still being intact. I mean, do you right now feel that you guys have a shot to go back?
We have a very good shot to get back into the playoffs, for sure.
Okay.
I don't want to be that person that says we're going to go back to the Super Bowl just because we went to the Super Bowl.
Oh, trust me, I already hear it all the time on my feed and everything. Like it doesn't matter. The Niners are going back, or I think there was a couple days ago. I heard one of my Patriots buddies. He tells me like Tom Brady, no Brady, Joe Brady. Doesn't matter. The Patriots are going to regain the AFC, and I'm like, oh, okay. I mean, the thing is, I think what it is, it's because everybody is right now. Every team is 0-0. So I'm pretty sure there's Bengal fans out there that if we draft Joe Burrow, we have a shot. It's just what it is, man. It's that optimistic feeling of that. Your team has a shot, and I think that's what it is. Every team has a shot, which is true. It's just sometimes there's just some fans that don't want to be realistic about it. You know what I mean?
They are the fans that like to let their bias get in the way of how the team is actually doing.
Yeah. So, but I mean, so that was. I mean, you guys lose a Super Bowl, but it is a big deal. But it's just the way your team is set up, it's looking like a team that's going to be around for a minute. So as long as everybody stays healthy and Kyle Shanahan can just keep improving, everything, I have no doubt in my mind that you guys are going to be a really freaking dominant team here pretty soon. But, season's over, we go a couple months and now free agency started. And what you guys did was kind of a shocker, which is why, we couldn't really do the 13th video. Because it was kind of one of those situations where, and I can't believe this is actually weird that you guys traded DeForest Buckner. I tried to get you on, but because of scheduling conflict between, your work and the time I start my video, we couldn't talk about the 13th pick. So when we do make our prediction, you are going to give out your 13th pick, but you guys traded DeForest Buckner for the 13th pick to the Indianapolis Colts. Where were you at when this happened? Because I think I just, got on my first break or something like that from work, and then that's when the whole trade thing went down, and I was like, "What the heck is going on?"
I was actually doing some inventory at work, and I get a little notification on my phone, and I look it up, and I see that the Forest Buckers in the headlines. I'm just like, did we sign him? Did we just finalize the deal for him? Are we trading away Eric Armstead, or what are we doing? And then I ended up seeing that we lost the Forest Buckner, and we're getting the 13th round, and it sucks. Buckner was a really good player on our team, and it's going to be very hard to replace him. He was honestly one of our MVP players on defense last year. But, I thought about it, and I realized it was kind of for the better. DeForest was set up to pretty much have a really hefty contract this year, and unfortunately, the Niners cap space just doesn't have the room to have DeForest Buckner. Eric Armstead is a cheaper choice, which is who we ended up signing instead. No, he did well as well last year, but he wasn't on DeForest Buckner's level.
No, I mean, it is hard. I mean, it is hard because, you draft these guys and you want them to do good, but then when it's come to signing part, you have to realize that there's times where you can't sign everybody, that you can't sign everybody, but your defensive line is still intact in some ways. It's just, the DeForest Buckner trade kind of, it was kind of an eye opener, like, oh man, like this happened, they traded away DeForest Buckner, but I mean, to get the 13th pick, I mean, it's just, the pros and cons of, both sides. It's like, we got an extra first round pick, but is he going to pan out? Or, should we have kept Buckner? But then if you resign him, where does that leave, Armstead? Where does that leave, Boza down the road? Where does that leave some of these guys who are going to be up for contracts here pretty soon? It's a tough call. No. It's a tough call, man. I looked at it both ways, and it's just a tough call.
Putting away Buckner wasn't also bad. We got the 13th round pick. We are in desperate need of picks. We don't have too many picks this year. I think after the first round, we're not picking again until the 4th or 5th round. We don't have a second or third.
Yeah, it's a
having a 13th pick, we have the option now to either trade away one of our first round picks or maybe a second or third.
Yeah,
to have a bit more depth.
Draft,
opportunities.
And that's the thing too. It's draft capital it's a real thing, and people don't really understand that. It's you can have 2 first round picks, but if you don't have a second, a third, and you got to wait till the 4th to pick again, there's going to be a lot of names that are going to fly off the board, and you're going to be like, crap, I wish we could have him, but we just didn't have that pick at that round at that time. So draft capital is important, man, because the more draft picks you have, the more you can play around with the board and everything, and you kind of control how the draft's going to go. And that's an interesting point that you did bring up. But to get the 13th pick is not a bad deal. And it's like you said, they either have the option to get the best player available at 13, because you guys are a team right now where if you draft that high, it's a luxury pick for you. You know what I mean? Like,
absolutely.
You get a top 15 player in this year's draft, and that's just a luxury pick. So, it is what it is. Or you have the option of trading back again, getting more picks, and, keep building that roster. But either way, look, John Lynch is he's not a stupid man. That's why he does that job, and I'm just here, I'm just here making predictions. on what I think the Niners are going to do. I mean, I don't know what they're going to do. I don't know what any of these teams are going to do. It's just I like doing this because it's fun and it's fun to digest on what we think they're going to do. But John Lynch is not a stupid man. He is an incredible, intelligent man. He knows what he's doing, and I have no doubt that he's not going to let you guys down at all.
I can't agree with you anymore.
So speaking of the free agency, so you guys did trade DeForest Buckner. You did also have a. It was more of re-signing your guys to make sure that your guys are coming back. Like Jason Verrett, he's coming back. Dante Johnson, he's coming back. Jerick McKinnon re-signed. Arik Armstead, you gave him that contract extension after freeing up the cap space. Sean Coleman's coming back. Ben Garland is coming back. Matt Breida, he's coming.
Ward.
Yeah, Jimmy Ward's coming back. Matt Breida's coming back. Nick Mullins, Daniel Brunski, Emin Mosley. I mean, these are guys who, I know they're not starters, but I mean, they did have an impact on the team, whether it was situational plays or special teams. And I think that's, I always say, it's always important to take care of your guys first because they know the system. They know how it's going to run. They know everything about that team. So I thought that you guys did a really good job on keeping your core guys, for depth position. But that's not to say that you guys didn't, get some other guys too. I mean, there's Travis Benjamin, the longtime wide receiver who just, played for the Chargers. Now he's coming in, another gadget for Kyle Shanahan to do his thing. Tom Compton, the longtime guard for the Jets. Well, now he's coming in to maybe be a depth player on the line, and experience is always good. Kerry Hyder, Kerry Hyder, the defensive end from Dallas, he's coming in. Depth is important. And Joe Walker from the Arizona Cardinals, he's leaving Arizona, and the special teams ace, who was actually the special teams captain, now he's coming in to make your special teams even better. So overall, I mean, you guys did what you guys had to do. I mean, you had to make the sacrifice of Buckner, but in the end, it was, well, now we have Armstead in the long term. So he's a Niner for pretty much for life now. Like, that's not the worry anymore. Like, he's a Niner for life. And now you have all these guys who are coming back. And, this is what I always say, re-signing your own guys just makes it so much easier, and it gives fans a peace of mind. When you have a lot of free agents that do leave, it kind of worries the fans a little bit, like, well, how are we going to replace this guy? How are we going to replace this guy? But you guys look the same from last year with a couple additions, and no doubt in my mind, you guys are fine. You guys are solid, and John Lynch is, one of the better general managers out there. It took him a while to finally build his team, but now we know that this is his team that he's building it the right way.
I think this is the 4th year of the Shannon Lynch combo in the front office.
Yeah, this is good. Yeah, this upcoming year will be the 4th year. So the first 2 years were kind of a wash because, it was just they didn't have their guys in place. They had to do a couple of releases, which did anger fans at that point. But I mean, I think it was all for the best. And then that 2-14 was supposed to be the first year of everybody together, but Jimmy went down, and then the whole season just went kaput. Because not only did that happen, a bunch of injuries on your defensive side happened. So that, third year was a wash. And then this year coming up, you guys showed what the type of team you were going to be, which was a 10+1 team, a team that was aiming to get the division. And now it seems like you guys are going to be in a place where you guys are going to be in good hands and are going to be riding the NFC West for a little while again, which is a tough division. So I got to give kudos to John Lynch. I mean, he did it the right way. He, sacrificed. He took heat, but I think in the end, it's all worth it. I think it was all worth it for him.
Absolutely.
So, with all that being said, I mean, how do you feel about it? I mean, how do you feel about it? I mean, is there still something missing with the team? Is there, like, for me, the thing I didn't understand was, this whole Jimmy Garoppolo thing. I mean, for me, it's just weird to like talk about a guy who was part of a 13-3 team, and it's like, oh well, he's really not that good, and it's like, I've heard people say, like, well, yeah, you have to get into a lot of factors before you get into Jimmy Garoppolo. And I get it. It's like, okay, yeah, the defense was the best in the league. Okay, that's great. They did have the number one running game. It's like, okay, that's true too. And then you guys had that amazing tight end in George Kittle, which, by the way, best tight end in the league. I mean, this is coming from a Raider fan. George Kittle is the freaking man, dude. He is the freaking man.
One of the Niners at the moment that I wish and hope stays a Niner for the rest of his career.
Oh, no doubt. I mean, shit, this dude is crazy. And the thing is, it's tight ends. They've evolved over the years, but nowadays it's either your tight end can either block or he can, catch. He's the one that can do both, and I think that's where it's like, man, that's incredible. Like that's the dude's a beast, and he's the best tight end for me right now.
You ask the man to do something, and he will get it done.
Yeah, for my money right now, he's the top. That's the top dude right now, and it's gonna be hard for somebody to dethrone him to do what he does. But I want your take on it, like on the Jimmy Garoppolo thing. Like, do you think it's fair that he doesn't get the praise of like, oh well, you were just lucky because you have a really good team around you? And do you really think any other quarterback can come in and really do the same thing that Jimmy Garoppolo did? Because I don't think you could put any quarterback out there. I think you got to put a quarterback that Kyle Shanahan can run with, because you can't just put anybody back there. What's your take on it?
I don't think it's unfair that he doesn't get the praise. You get what you get. He is a really good quarterback, and maybe he doesn't. But he doesn't get all the praise that he probably should be getting. He gets more heat than he should.
Yeah, I mean,
I know just what I just said right now.
Yeah.
But considering that he came in 2017 and pretty much ended this season as a starter at 5-0.
Yeah, I mean, oh yeah, no, he was the man, dude. I mean, that's kind of where I have a hard time understanding about it, because it's like people always like, the thing is, we live in a world now where it's all about the passing game. So when you're a quarterback that doesn't, and that's the thing, it's like, well, he had the number one rushing team. It's like, exactly. So why do you want him to throw?
Like, exactly.
I mean,
why would you want to throw away something that's working for something that people want to see? I understand people want to, or people prefer the flashier pass action plays rather than seeing teams running into their team. Yeah, enemy team.
Yeah, I never understood it myself. Like, I just always said, like, people want like you said, they want the oohs and the ahs of the passing game. But it's like, if I'm Kyle Shanahan, it's like, why the heck do I want to get away from the running game when, if I have the number one rushing league, that means I control the clock, I move the chains a lot, 10 yards at a time. By the time the offense gets the ball, there's going to be no time for them to come back. So why the heck do I want to pass and ruin something that we have something good? Now, it's understandable if you guys weren't the number one rushing, team, then it's like, okay, Jimmy, you do have to make plays. However, when you have the best tight end in the league and the number one rushing, team in the league, Jimmy was in a perfect situation where it's like, look, I'm not going to screw this up, because my numbers aren't going to be as big as some of these other guys, but the wins are going to make my job so much freaking easier during the playoffs. And I think it's just a joke that there's just some people out there that just, don't want to give him the praise, when it's like, dude, he has to command this team. And I think it's just unfair to him, me personally.
People can hold the bad throws against him, like the last one at the end of the Super Bowl, but they don't really come back to the throws that he makes, like the one in the Arizona game, where he makes the last pass to Jeff Wilson Jr.
Yeah. Oh man.
between two defenders.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. I think what it is just I think it's like that with any other quarterback. You're either gonna like the guy or you're not gonna like the guy. And if you don't like him, you're gonna try everything in your power to find the negative. You're never gonna try to find the positive. I mean, I think to me, the one that should have put everybody down, like their pipes, where it's like, hey man, we know he can make the throw, and it was the one against New Orleans, the one where he did find Kettle down deep. Kettle did his thing, got him to field goal range, and game's over. You guys leave New Orleans with the win, which is really hard to do. It's hard to beat New Orleans at New Orleans, and you guys managed to beat them at the Dome, and that should have been the game where it's like, okay, when Jimmy needed it to be done the most, he threw it.
When Jimmy needed a pass, he passed.
And that was it.
Boy, did he pass.
Oh, man, that was a beauty. I mean, I think I was at my brother's house, and I saw that throw, and I'm like, oh, he's got to catch that. That's probably going to be the best throw of the season for him. He's got to catch that. And sure enough, he did, and that was the end of it. So, I mean, other than that, me personally, I think Jimmy Garoppolo is the right man for the 49ers, and I think he will continue to be the man for the 49ers for years to come. So, with all that being said, George, I know last time I tried to get you on for the 13th pick. Unfortunately, with the conflict, the scheduling and everything, and really just the timing of it, because this was sort of a like what the hell moment. But what it is now time, for me to hear your predictions. So you will be doing the 13th and the 31st pick, and I will be doing, I'll give a recap on my 13th pick, and I'll introduce my 31st pick. And so, ladies and gentlemen, here we are. Here is George's prediction for his San Francisco 49ers with the 13th and 31st pick. Do we have noise? There it is. All right. 1 week, and I can't wait. All right, George, the floor is yours. What are the 49ers going to do with that 13th pick?
With the 13th pick of the 2020 season draft, the 49ers select Henry Ruggs.
Woo! Henry Ruggs, huh? He'll be there. The way it's looking, it looks like he'll be there. But Henry Ruggs at 13. Now you're gonna have to explain this to me, man. You're gonna have to really explain it to me. Do you think Henry Ruggs can be that number one for you guys? And realistically, you look at your roster, and it's a good roster. It's just, I do agree with you. The wide receiver room could be a little better. Do you think Henry Ruggs is the man? Like, do you think he is the number one dude to take it to San Francisco?
I definitely think he can be the one that takes over for what Emmanuel Sanders was doing the previous season. Right now, we have Debo Samuel, Jalen Hurd, Trent Taylor.
Yeah, you got Trent Taylor still. He's still there.
Jeff Wilson Jr.
Oh, yeah.
And
and then actually, I think, yeah, you still have Goodwin. You still have Marquise. So, I mean, that's the thing.
Still have Marquise.
I mean,
and Pettis. So we have 7 total wide receivers, and so far out of 7, we don't have a clear number one. Debo Samuel is a good number 2. And then the rest after that is pretty much just depth. And, making sure we have wide receivers for whenever someone's injured. Goodwin's been on a decline. Pettis has shown a lot of regression the previous year, kind of had hard to even play him at the end of the season. I can't recall seeing him playing a snap or 2 after the 8th week for Halloween.
Oh, yeah, it was the Halloween game. Yeah. Henry Ruggs don't get me wrong. Henry Ruggs is a good wide receiver. I think for me at 13, and I've already, did the mention and everything. When it was my turn and when I made the pick for him, I think at 13, I had you guys taking Javon Kinlaw, the defensive tackle out of South Carolina. The reason being is, DeForest Buckner leaving, that's kind of a huge blow. Now, Solomon Thomas can play. It's just he hasn't really lived up to that first round pick when you guys did get him, which is a shame. But I think Javon Kinlaw, the thing is, he doesn't have to play right away. You can, be a situational guy and then, maybe go down the road. Maybe he'll be the starter. I just think what it is for me at 13, I think Javon Kinlaw is going to be, the guy at 13 for me. That's my thing. Because Henry Ruggs, I had him yesterday at 30 to Green Bay. So, I mean, and that's the thing about, Ruggs is that's his ceiling. He could either be in the middle of the draft or he can be at the end. But the one thing we do know is Henry Ruggs will be going in the first round. Like that's the way I'm seeing it.
Your pick of Javon Kinlaw is actually my second option that I would have done if Henry Ruggs wasn't actually on the table due to, losing the Forest Bucket. We could get someone in there that can probably take over, and Javon Kinlaw, has that potential to be a Buckner.
Well, I mean, and that's the thing. I mean, that's the beauty of these, mock drafts is, like everybody has different opinions. I mean, you have wide receiver, I have defensive tackle. Two totally different spectrums of the game on the opposite sides of the field, but that's the beauty of it. So, this is what it's all about, guys. So here we go then, George. Pick 31. You guys are on the clock again. What are you guys doing? What do you think John Lynch is going to do?
I think we might be going for a defensive player. I think if AJ Henderson is on the table, we will be picking up AJ Terrell.
Ooh, AJ Terrell, huh?
Sure.
AJ Terrell, the corner out of Clemson. Okay, I mean, and that's the thing too. It's these last few seasons, these Clemson corners have been getting really good. I mean, the Raiders drafted one last year, the corner out of Clemson on Trayvon Mullen, and now he looks like that dude's our number one now. So I mean, there's no doubt in my mind that Clemson players, they're really good football players, and I think defensive backs, it's kind of where it's at, But AJ Terrell wouldn't be a bad pickup. I mean, was this due to the fact that do you feel like Sherman's not going to be there after this year? Do you think that Sherman doesn't have that much long with the 49ers? Well, I mean, what made you decide on AJ Terrell?
What's the sense between people? Sherman is deep on his own, but getting bumped by Sammy Watkins. And granted, it's Sammy Watkins.
Mm-hmm. I mean,
but giving that big to Sammy Watkins
yeah, I mean,
did not help the that interception at all. So I think we need to be giving someone in there to be under Sherman's wing while he's there. The man is a veteran, and he has a lot of huge awesome rookies that are going in there.
Okay. I mean, AJ Terrell's not a bad player either, so I mean that's a good one. I actually have you guys going in a different direction with pick 31. I actually have you guys going Jalen Reagor, the wide receiver out of TCU, and that's the thing. I mean, I think we can both come to the conclusion that you guys are going to leave the first round with a wide receiver. I mean, whether it be the first round pick or the second first round pick. But I think John Lynch knows that in order to probably take it to the next step, you guys have to leave this draft with a clear-cut number one. So I have you guys taking the wide receiver out of TCU. I mean, for me, I think he fits perfectly with what Kyle Shanahan wants to do. Everything that Kyle Shanahan wants in a receiver, this guy's got it. And honestly, I think this dude can be your Tyreek Hill. That's the way I see it. I mean, I think Jalen Reagor can be your Tyreek Hill for the freaking 49ers. But, I mean, that's my opinion. I mean, but again, we don't know what they're thinking. But, I mean, your pick's not that bad either. AJ Terrell will definitely solidify, that defensive back room, along with Henry Ruggs. I mean, that's a 1-2 combo to get, a 1-1 right there, right off the bat. So, I mean, either way, it looks like we both come to the conclusion that wide receiver is going to be key for you guys in this draft.
Absolutely. Considering we had a trade for a wide receiver number one during the season last year, it's one of our top priorities.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I mean, you can only do so much, like, to throw it to Kittle because eventually he's going to get double teamed. Debo Samuel eventually will get his coverage, so eventually there's going to have to be another guy that's going to have to step up in that room where I think that, it's going to help Jimmy, find somebody else and not just, either check down or just try his luck or something. But I think that is true fact. I think wide receiver probably is priority for the San Francisco 49ers. So you guys heard them. I mean, do we have any questions on the Facebook one? On the Facebook Live? Nobody? Okay. Because I got nothing on mine here so far. All right. Well, that's going to wrap it up for today's show, guys. You guys heard it here first. My buddy George thinks they're going to go Henry Ruggs, AJ Terrell. I think they're going to go Javon Kinlaw and Jalen Rager. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. The draft is only 5 days away, and we cannot wait. Everybody's excited, and hopefully everybody gets happy thoughts during that time because there's always one franchise, that feels like, why did we draft this bum? But then it turns out to be he's an all pro, and the more we know. But I want to thank you, George, for joining today. I mean, it's always fun to talk to you, my man.
I appreciate you having me, man.
All right, man. Well, good luck to you good luck to you in this guy's draft. Hopefully your Niners do good again this year because they look like a fun team to watch last year. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I'll let you know where I'll be holding the Super Bowl party.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'll probably be in Vegas enjoying my new stadium or something. I don't know. But all right, George, I'll talk to you soon. All right, my man?
Take it easy, bro.
All right, take it easy, man. Take care.
Bye.
All right, take care, my man. Bye-bye. That was George, everybody. He loves his Niners, man, and he's a good dude, man. He's a really good dude, and he was a little hurt. You could tell in a couple of his comments that he was a little hurt that that Super Bowl didn't go their way. But I think everybody's just optimistic about the season. So I mean, that's how everybody should be. But he had AJ Terrell, Clemson corner. There's talks about him being mid to late first round and possibly falling into the second, which is it would be understandable if he did fall to the 49ers. I mean, that's a really good pick by George. I just think, for me, if they do stick with Kinlaw, they do have to get a wide receiver. They have to leave the first round with the priority at wide receiver because they're not able to, like he said, trade back and get more picks. I think wide receiver at that point has to be their top priority. And Jalen Rager, 5'11", 206 pounds, 31-inch arm length, 9.5-inch hand size. He ran a 4.4740, only 17 bench presses, 42-inch vertical, 11.5 broad jump, a 7.33 cone drill, and a 4.46 20-yard shuttle. He was the offensive freshman of the year, the Big 12 in 2017, and he's a two-time second team in the Big 12 in 2018, 2019. And what I meant by earlier is he's not the next Tyreek Taylor. I mean, that's just the comparison I see, that he could be the way they use Tyreek Taylor in Kansas City or Tyreek Hill in Kansas City. I think, they can use Jalen Rager in San Francisco. His freshman year, exactly what you expect of a freshman, 33 receptions, 576 yards, but he did get 8 touchdowns. So it seemed like every 4 catches, it was a touchdown. To go along with, he had 65 rushing yards on 8 attempts, and he had 122 kickoff return yards on 4 attempts. So, I mean, he was used all around. In 2018, that was his best year. 72 receptions, 1,061 yards, 9 touchdowns. And to go along with 170 rushing yards on 13 attempts with 2 touchdowns, 121 kickoff return yards on 4 attempts, and 97 punt return yards on 8 attempts. So, I mean, again, that was his best year. 2018 was he was the man for the Big 12. And 2019, it took a dip. because TCU was going through quarterback injuries, quarterback controversies, that it just didn't look good for Jalen. So he only ended up with 43 reception yards, 611 yards, and 5 touchdowns to go along with 89 rushing yards on 14 attempts, 72 return yards on 6 attempts, but his biggest thing was 312 punt yard returns on 16 attempts for 2 touchdowns. So what I'm saying to you is when he breaks away from the defense, you're not getting him. You're not getting him. This name should sound familiar if you have been watching this whole mock draft. My buddy Roy, shout out to him. He did mention Philadelphia possibly looking at Jalen Rager, and it's understandable to see why. The man is just versatile. He knows what he's doing. Whenever the ball's in his hand, it looks like he's electric. And I think what it is just I thought for sure he was going to come back for a senior year, but knowing the quarterback situation and everything else, he thinks that this was the time to dip because he believes that his stock could not get any higher after this. So he made the decision to leave after his junior year. So to him to land to the 49ers, if this were to happen, I mean, he's going to love Kyle Shanahan. Kyle Shanahan's going to put him in the best positions, and they're going to use him everywhere. And I just think this would be a good pick for him for the 49ers. But AJ Terrell, but my buddy George, would be a great pick too. So, I mean, we'll see who's right. We'll see who's right. And, draft day is only 5 days away. So I want to thank everybody for tuning in today. I do want to thank my buddy George, who came on the air today, who came on the show for talking about the Niners a little bit. And, he's optimistic heading into next season. So we'll see how that happens. Tomorrow is the last individual team video. Can you believe it? After so many weeks now. Tomorrow, the Chiefs are on the clock, the reigning Super Bowl champions. So the Chiefs are the topic tomorrow. I don't think the guest is going to happen, so it's just going to be me. I'm going to talk about the Chiefs tomorrow, and then that's pretty much it for individual. Monday, I will recap my first mock, and then I will do a new mock, my only last final mock, and then after that, I'll probably see you guys again on Thursday for the draft day, and that's it. And then we'll do reactions and everything, and then we'll see what else comes up. Hopefully, everything's good by then, and then maybe we'll do a schedule reaction show. We'll be live, and we'll go from there. So, I mean, other than that, I want to wish everybody a good Saturday. Everybody have a good night. Tomorrow, the Kansas City Chiefs are on the clock. So hopefully you guys tune in. Take care, everybody.